Oh, there we go. Unmute myself. There we go. Welcome into the VandySports Postgame Show alongside Luke Wyatt. I'm Billy Derrick. We're broadcasting live here from Chili's on West End. We're presented by Maynard-Nexen Government Contracts Group, The Wash House, Sutherland & Belk, Injury Law, and Murfreesboro Pure Milk Company. Final score from Nashville. Vanderbilt takes a loss to Kentucky 45-28. Luke, obviously disappointing. We'll get to comments and questions, and we'll try to do the same format that we've usually done. But you just told me before we came on, same script, same sloppy mistakes, same crucial turnovers, interceptions. I thought personal fouls were an issue today, just like they've been. Gunnar Hansen, I think, had a couple.
Boneheaded plays.
Yeah, so just initial thoughts. I know you got a lot of notes, and we'll kind of get to those throughout, but initial thoughts after this one.
Well, two things. Number one, talent level, if people can say what they want to say, there ain't a whole lot of difference in talent. Main thing's execution. If we don't execute any better, it doesn't matter who we're playing. Like I said before, last week, it's kind of odd. This week we get down 24-0. Last week we got up 17-0, and we make a comeback. And we make a comeback today. We get to 24-13. I thought the biggest play in the game was when we have him in the end zone. It's going to be grounding, and we have a face mask. Because we were going to get the ball probably around midfield, down 11.
Mm-hmm.
But this team doesn't have the confidence to go out and execute football. They just don't. It's like, okay, it's my turn to screw up. It's your turn to screw up. And you don't have 11 guys playing in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the recipe for losing. They're in a must-win situation next week. For our season to get better and not be 3-9 or 4-8 team, if they want to do anything next week, they got to do it. And I looked at the injury to AJ there at the end of the game, and honestly, we may be looking at Ken Seals starting next week.
Interesting. I mean, Ken Seals came in, threw a touchdown to Cameron Johnson, cut the score to 45-28. But, Luke, you mentioned, we talk about the middle eight all the time, right? Yeah, I think Vanderbilt won the first 4 minutes of that middle eight, not the next 4 minutes. Right. I think that was a big point in the game where, Vanderbilt ends up getting a touchdown. They make it 24-10 before the half. And Kentucky, they're reeling. I mean, they've sort of unraveled offensively in the middle of that game in the second quarter and the third quarter. Of course, they got going in the fourth quarter. But you saw Ray Davis, chirping with C.J. Taylor. I mean, looked like Ray was headed to the Vanderbilt locker room, and you thought, okay, maybe this lights a fire under him, but it just doesn't ever feel like this team uses any of the fuel from the other team, whether it's a turnover. It's like they just can't, you can't capitalize. You saw they got a field goal instead of a touchdown after that interception.
Yep.
And I tweeted, I said, Vanderbilt they got to get touchdowns. You can't keep getting field goals here. And margin, I mean, we're saying the same stuff, right? And so I don't want to harp on a lot of the same stuff. I thought that was a big moment in the game, though. It could have been a bigger moment if Vanderbilt capitalized on it, but they didn't.
And I mentioned a minute ago, I thought the key to the game, the key to the chances for Vanderbilt to have a chance was when we get the sack in the end zone. It's probably going to be intentional grounding, and we get a face mask. Right. And that was when it's 24-13.
And if it's holding, that's a safety.
Exactly. Even if it's grounding, it's a safety.
Right. So you're right. Yeah.
That and I saw Clark go straight to the referee because unless I'm wrong, and someone can correct me on this, the rules are okay. You had a personal foul, but if you call the grounding like you should have, it would offset.
Right.
I don't know that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the personal foul supersedes that. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure, but I thought that from that point forward, that was ball game. And 2 pick sixes, and again we lose the turnover battle. I've said that. Can we go even in turnovers? We throw 2 pick sixes. You don't. It's a formula for losing, and until they mature, because again, I don't think it's the talent gap is not that much different. Look, we put up 28 points, and we executed at about a 50% rate.
Yeah.
If you execute at 75%, which is winning football, we probably put up as many as they do. And it's, a one-score game in the fourth quarter. And that's what Vanderbilt has to play for. And they're going to always have to play for that, is one-score games in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And by doing that, you got to execute.
Total yardage was fairly similar. Kentucky 365, Vanderbilt 328. Yep. Vanderbilt ended up having more pass yards. Now, a lot of that was in garbage time. But, I mean, you look at this, it's similar to the Wake Forest game. Right, Kentucky had 10 penalties for 105 yards. Vanderbilt 7 penalties. Sloppy game. I think we could have predicted that.
Yep.
Third downs, Vanderbilt's only 6 of 17. I mean, you had a lot of chances there on third downs. You just you couldn't stay on the field. You saw some drops from Shepard, and obviously we're talking about a lot of the same stuff. They were 4 for 4 in the red zone, but it didn't matter. The good stats didn't really end up mattering for Vanderbilt. Swann 16 of 40. 189 yards, 3 interceptions. You're just not going to win like that.
No.
Same rushing. I mean, receiving. Will Shepherd only had 2 catches. I don't think McGowan didn't have a single catch.
No.
Logan Kyle led the team in 3 catches, 37 yards. Carter had that big deep one. Just not enough. I mean, coming into this game, Luke, I think the plan, at least from my perspective, was to force Devin Leary to beat you with his arm. And
they had that
so far.
They had that for a second.
Yeah, they had it for a little bit. And then, Ray Davis, he didn't really get loose. I mean, 17 carries, 78 yards, a couple of touchdowns, but it's not like he was the guy that beat you.
No.
You beat yourself. And Leary, 205 yards. Barryon Brown had a good day for Kentucky, but it's not like if you take away the turnovers and the sloppy mistakes and the interceptions, again, we're saying the same thing, Luke.
It's a rerun. It's like the Andy Griffith Show. Reruns. Everybody's watching
Saturday,
it. Yeah. I'm going to keep watching it. I don't like watching it right now, but it's reruns. It's the Andy Griffith Show. Now, I do want to say one other thing. There was a part in that football game when we had hit Leary. I mean, we blasted him one time. His helmet came off. He was rattled.
He was banged up a little bit.
He was rattled. He fell and he tripped over his lineman one time. Another thing.
I want to get to that quick. You talk about Leary. I thought the defense was better. I'm not going to say they were good. You gave up 45 points, but defense, again, they're put in bad spots. I thought defensively they looked better as a whole, but offensively, when you're turning the ball over, it's just, it negates that.
When you go a pick six in the first, you have one of your best defenders get thrown out after the second play of the game.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
That's the one thing that really couldn't happen.
No.
It happened.
I mean, I'm like, they're going to throw him out.
Yeah.
So, and then the very next play, we throw a pick six. So, you can't get behind again. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We've been playing UNLV again. If you're going to turn the football over and get behind 24-0, you're not going to win.
No.
So you can forget that.
No.
One other thing I want to mention, I don't know if you guys noticed in the press box, I thought Humphreys may have rolled an ankle or something because he was not near as fast.
I did see him walk gingerly off a couple of plays. Yeah.
Hope he's ready to roll next week because, again, next week's a must-win for Vanderbilt.
It is. And Vanderbilt was banged up heading into this game. It feels like they are every week. DeRicky Wright didn't play. Jalen Mahoney, of course, he's not banged up. I'm sure he is a little bit, but he didn't end up playing. Savion Riley didn't play. Who else, Luke? You didn't see.
Who has been out all year? The defensive lineman.
Christian James. Davion Davis, of course. I think that has been on top of everything else.
Yeah.
You're not healthy. I mean, it just feels like it's one after another, right? And you get one thing back, right? And defense plays a little bit better. Offensive line on the plays they protected Swann felt like he would throw an interception or it goes incomplete. It just cannot put the puzzle together.
Well, even Billy, even when we're down 24-13 and we have a third down and AJ throws into traffic and gets another pick.
Yeah.
Punt the football. Just punt the football. We got one of the best punters in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Put him back. He drove Kentucky back and flipped field position.
He had a
all
62 today. His
He's
average.
amazing.
Yeah, he really is. He's an NFL punter. I want to give him credit. He had 7 punts for 352 yards, 50-yard average, 6 inside the 20.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
You can't do any better than that. And on that play, that's again the maturation for a guy like AJ Swann. He still doesn't understand it's okay to punt the football.
Yeah. Well, Luke, anything else you want to get to? We got some questions and comments, and we're going to wrap it up with Joey. He is at the press box. Chris is not going to be able to stop in. We'll get Joey kind of his final thoughts. You might be out of here by then, but we'll figure it out. Anything else before we hop into the questions and comments?
Yeah, I like to say this. I talked to one of our former coaches. Well, 2 things I want to bring up.
Talk about former coaches. Bobby Johnson was in attendance today, so that was good to see.
I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning. We had a get-together for that 2018.
Yep.
Unbelievably, 40 guys showed back up.
Wow.
That's pretty good for 15 years.
Wow.
And, of course, Coach Johnson and his wife, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
It was wonderful to see him. What a great man he is.
Yeah.
And, I had a text. What I was going to say is I had a text from someone on the way over here and said, when they bring – he was a former defensive coach here. He said, Luke, when they bring pressure, they're not bad. When they don't, they got no shot.
Yeah.
So we have to do that. Clark has to work on those blitz packages with Coach Howell, and they've got to bring pressure against teams like this because that's really our only shot.
Mm-hmm.
But now, one more thing. Until we cut out the crap at the turnovers and the non-execution, it's all stuff that's correctable. That's what frustrates you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Philo McMaster says, well, it was a nice sunny afternoon today. That's all I can say about the game. It was beautiful. It was sunny. I mean, it was beaming at us. I had my shades on the whole.
Oh, I'm sure I look like I don't know what I look like, but I get sunburned fairly easily.
It was a nice day, and luckily no delays, so that was good to see. Brian Johnson, if we can't keep our own players and we don't use the transfer portal, how can we develop a roster to compete in the SEC? We've talked about that.
We have, and I disagree to some extent. Here's what I say. This is going to come to fruition at the end of the year. If we don't retain London Humphreys and guys that are contributing right now, and obviously these young guys, if we don't retain them, we got problems.
Mm-hmm.
But now
it's more about retaining as opposed to bringing in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's not going to pay freshmen to come in and play football. They're not going to roll those dice. They're going to have to use the portal. You know, Kentucky did a quick fix with the portal with Ray Davis and the quarterback Leary, and that's their choice, and that's the way they can do it at Kentucky.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell Vanderbilt fans this. They can say what they want to do. Vanderbilt's never going to do it that way. So if you think I'm cheering for Vanderbilt, well, you better understand that that's the way it's going to be. We're not going to have 25 transfers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're at Vanderbilt, and it's hard enough to you say pay freshmen. It's hard enough for Alabama, LSU to do that. I mean,
exactly.
They're losing guys like that, and I mean, yes, it's the day and age of the transfer portal. Look at Clemson, though. I mean, Clemson's a team that we had run off for dead, and Dabo, he's not entering this portal. They're gone. They're dead. They almost beat Florida State today. So I think there's still a way.
There is
to compete without fully diving into the portal. Vandy will snag a few guys every year.
Sure.
Right? I mean, Prince Collie is going to be a big part of this program down the road. But you're just not going to get 10 to 15 guys like an Ole Miss or a Miami. You can't. Number one. Number two, if you did try, it would almost be billed as wasting your time on something that
exactly
is not necessarily possible.
You're exactly right. Our key is cleaning everything up, and I don't know what you do about a kid who, I'm watching, we get the interception, and I watch a kid just lose his mind and obviously right in front of an official hit someone late. It's just, you can't do that stuff. That's so high school. Yeah. You can't do it.
A lot of boneheaded mistakes today. And I mean, we said that game one against Y, and it really hasn't changed. Luciana McKenzie, Vanderbilt cannot use the portal hardly at all. They do not have an undergraduate business degree, which almost all players major in. Vanderbilt will never compete in the SEC when it comes to football. I don't know that I agree with that last statement, but the first part of that, that undergrad business degree, they don't have that.
That's a good point. That
is a good point.
But as far as him talking about competing, there's other ways to compete. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And that the Vanderbilt way is the long, hard way, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people are like sick of hearing that. And they will say, well, fire the coach and all that. That's not the answer, folks. It's a different day. Even if James Franklin was here in his 3 years of Sugar Rush, even if he was here, he wouldn't be able to do the portal thing. He's not. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Your personality doesn't matter. It's the university that you're representing that's deciding not to do that.
We got Cedric Alexander's mom in here. This is number 28's mom. Right. She says, so proud of my baby. He, let's see, give him credit. Luke, he did have a good day. 8 carries, 37 yards and a touchdown.
Sure.
I mean, 37 yards isn't gangbusters, but
almost 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, he looked, for what he did, he looked good, and I think we'll see more of him down the road. Let's see here. She makes a good point too. We definitely need to make changes early and not late. I think early in the game. Yeah. I mean, 21-0 like that. You just you put yourself into that big of a hole. It's hard. And
where I sit and where your perspective, when he let that ball go, I knew it was a touchdown. Because I saw he was getting pressure, and I don't know if he got hit when he threw the pick six. I'm talking about
a pick six, yeah.
And when he threw it, I said, "That's a touchdown. Mm-hmm. You can't throw it away."
Well,
and he did later on.
He might have been open, but not.
Yeah,
not 2 seconds later,
and
right?
you're getting hit as you're throwing. It's just because he had avoided part of the rush, and then the second guy was coming. I don't know if he saw him or not, but you can't do it.
No.
And again, I want to say something else about the turnovers. It was 3-2, I think. I think I'm correct that we lost the turnover battle, but it's really 3-1 because that one interception we had was on our own 6. It was like having a punt.
Yeah,
that didn't really help us much.
That's a good point, though.
It is
3-2, Vandy. It's really 2-2. Turnover battle was even essentially. I mean, now statistically, right? It says Vanderbilt had 3 turnovers.
They had 2.
But
what I'm saying is that we really only had 1 that we got because they threw a pick.
Oh, you're saying on the other side.
We were on our own 6-yard line when we got it. It was just like a punt for Kentucky.
Gotcha.
So ours were what? pick six.
Yeah. Immediate points.
That's 14 points.
Yeah.
So you lose the game by 17, and there again, you have a chance in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That's the recipe for Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
It is. We're not going to come out here and beat somebody in the SEC by 25 points. It's not going to happen.
Luciana says Vanderbilt will get better throughout the season. You know, obviously Missouri next week. Missouri, have they started yet today? They're playing Memphis in St. Louis. They might kick off tonight, but you know, there's gonna be a lot of games like this, Luke, where
there is.
You know, you might get down early, but you know you can compete offensively with these teams. I think for the most part, other than maybe Georgia, Tennessee, and you know teams like that, but getting better. I think that's sort of a silver lining, if anything.
The execution piece. That's it. I mean, you know, like you said, was it 7 penalties for us?
7 penalties for Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Okay, 7 penalties. That's the thing, and they come at the worst times. It's not like a penalty when you're at the 10 and you got a chance to score. We're making them when it's third down and we pick up a first, then you get a penalty. I mean, just absolutely the worst timing. And you know, people can say that's coaching. People can say whatever. It's kids having the confidence to walk out there and do their job, and all 11 working in harmony. And that's it. I mean, Kentucky made their share of mistakes.
Yep.
But they didn't make them the crucial ones. They didn't throw any pick sixes.
And if they did, they were able to sort of bounce back and respond to them.
And our kids' confidence levels not that good.
No. Also, let's see here. Sebastian, who's commented after a lot of these, he said, attending the game today, there was finally some quality play from the defense, which I said earlier. Yes. I agree with that.
There was time.
And some of the young talent. 3 interceptions and lack of scheme, execution, play calling on offense was killer. Lack of scheme. What did you like? What did you not like about some of the play calls?
Well, I will say this. I don't know what we can do about enhancing the running game a little bit. We're not, you know, if we could just get 50 more yards of rushing a game. We're at around the 100-yard mark, aren't we? Every week seems like. What are we averaging? Something like that. That needs to bump a little bit. But more importantly, it's that when we are throwing the football, is to know when to throw it away and punt the sucker.
Yeah.
Because, again, we got a guy that can flip the field. And then if the defense goes out there and does
their
job. You should
be you know, this is weird, really weird to say, but you should be excited to get Hayball out there.
No question.
And that's all. It feels weird to say that, but with where this team is at right now.
That's right.
You can flip the field, maybe trust your defense, send some packages, some blitz packages, and that might turn into the formula, which I think it should.
I agree with you. You just, again, I'm going to go back to it. Until we play a clean game, and we haven't done it in 5 so far, you're not going to know who this team can or can't beat.
Sebastian also says something I've wanted to see all season from this team was to have some bite to them, continue to press forward when adversity comes, and I saw that in the team today. It must continue that way. At times, I mean, I don't know if I'd 100% agree with that. I think you mentioned confidence. I think they want to, right? They
want
you know,
to.
Ray Davis, Ray Davis chirping at them, heading into the locker room. You know, the whole team knew who that was, and I think they were fired up on the sideline. You saw some emotion, but like you said, Luke, just not. I don't know, just not enough. Not enough. And you know, I saw a little bit more bite, but still, you got to have a little bit more.
It's not enough to win football games. They're spotty. They're so spotty and inconsistent. And until you remedy that, it's going to stay that way.
Yeah. Tress Lawless says, I see a lot of people calling for a change at quarterback. AJ Swann is only in his 11th start and playing injured. It's hard to find consistent success with bad pass protection, no running game, and bad drops. I agree 100% with this.
Yeah.
And I say that because today you saw the offensive line struggle again. I know in the middle of the game you saw them protect, and they did protect at times, right? But the times they did protect, Swann wasn't able to use. I think the times that he did, the offensive line protected, 2 interceptions happened. I thought, and I noticed that. I tried to watch every offensive play. Okay, he's getting protection here. Boom, incomplete. Or a couple of interceptions, right? And well, the first one he was scrambling. So, but I just never thought, okay, when he did get protection,
right,
Swann wasn't, he was a little off. But when he doesn't get protection, it's just you couldn't put it together.
No.
But yes, bad pass protection. I agree with that. Not much of a running game, right? And bad drops. You saw a couple of Shepard drops. Yeah. McGowan didn't have a single catch. And when you have drops like that, it's just hard. And I didn't think he was healthy today, Swann. I thought he was playing more at 50, 60%.
I agree.
Get him healthy, give him a better offense or improved offensive line, and have your receivers catch the ball, I think he'll be fine. But again, this year it's tough. 11th start. I agree with that comment though. 100%.
I do too. No, I agree. One thing we did well today that I'm looking forward to consistently doing, we threw seven catches by the tight end. I think that will loosen things up more for London and Shep and the outside guys, Skinner and Marion Carter and those guys, because we got to use the tight end. And it worked well today, the tight ends.
Yeah. Luciana says, I feel like the running option inside zone is not successful as no one fears our quarterback running.
That's fair. AJ has gotten the last
starting to run a
little
bit more.
More. He's just not fleet of foot. Mm-hmm. I do think that the quarterback draw needs to be in our game plan. I've never seen us run it much.
Yeah.
But AJ's good enough athlete. He's not that fast, but he's good enough athlete to pick up when you have a 3rd and 5 or a 2nd and 7. Run a quarterback draw every once in a while. He can get 5 to 7 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So appreciate you guys for all the comments and questions. Again, Joey Dwyer wants to check in, and I'll try to kind of, wait for that. I want to try to get to a couple other big stats here. Again, time of possession, nothing really notable there.
No.
Sacks, I thought it says here Vanderbilt was only sacked once.
That's true because he was being hit when he threw the pick 6.
Right.
And
then Chris and I made a note of that. I couldn't believe that was true. And you only get 1 sack on Leary. Not surprising, but I think they did get pressure and enough pressure at times. But
yes, the 3 incompletions.
Yeah, you saw some drops from Kentucky. It was both teams were sloppy. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's not a whole lot of difference in talent. It's just our execute. When you give someone, let's just say it, 14 points. The kid had 2 pick sixes.
Mm-hmm.
That's 14 points, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's 14 points, and you lose by 17.
Yeah,
so.
I saw this. This isn't in the comment section on YouTube, but we had a question on Twitter from somebody. Serious question. Is it worth losing the next few games with Seals or Taylor while you let Swann learn and mature and practice with goal of bringing him back for the last few games of the year to build off the development? He needs to learn and practice. What do you think about that?
I'll say this. I think AJ shouldn't play unless he's 100% healthy. I think that may be the only problem I have. AJ's going to learn, and we're going to have to live with that part because, like you said, he's only played, 11 football games, if that. Mm-hmm. AJ's a talented kid. Where AJ's got to develop more is mentally. And, again, there's a lot of still high school left in him.
Yeah.
And by that, I just mean, there's things he got away with in high school you don't get away with in the collegiate level, especially in the SEC, which is all we have left to play.
Yeah, SEC play. Got Missouri next week.
Must win, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've always said, and I still, until tomorrow, next week's over, and if we come out and execute and don't turn the ball over 3 or 4 times, we have a chance. We have a good chance to win. But until we do that, now we got to get some bodies back. You can't play. Vanderbilt's not going to play without DeRicky Wright, Jalen Mahoney, who got tossed for the targeting.
Well, it's funny. The defense played better. I mean, we both agreed the defense played a little bit better. But that's even without DeRicky Wright, Savion Riley, and Langston Patterson, and Jalen Mahoney.
4 guys out.
I mean,
that have played significant minutes.
So I think that's something. Talk about silver lining all the time.
Yeah,
I think that's something to potentially, because look, if we just sit here and rip this team, no one's
I'm not going to rip them because I know they're working to try to get better.
Exactly.
If there was laziness and I saw that, or not enough fire or whatever, yeah, I'd have a problem with that.
But defensively, I think that's something to look at here, because you get those guys back. Savion Riley, you start with him.
Yeah.
And then you get DeRicky Wright back. Langston Patterson, I don't think his is too severe. It's probably more precautionary.
Yeah.
And then who did I miss there? Jalen Mahoney, right? He was ejected. So I think you get those 4 guys back. You start to tell yourself, maybe convince yourself, this defense can find an identity, because I think they're slowly starting to. I think today was a good first step. And then you shore up some of the mistakes offensively. Yeah, it gets better naturally, right?
Right. And that part, though, the mistakes have to change, or it doesn't matter who's playing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's not even. That's a bottom line type thing.
It is. It's bottom line. We're too sloppy. We're not technically sound enough with our execution. We're not. And only people that can get away with that will be a Georgia or somebody that's multi-talented, and they can survive a football game like that.
Yeah.
We can't, and we're never going to be able to.
No. We've got a couple more comments here. The talent is there. It's from Lowry. The talent is there. It's the coaching and development. Changes need to come before it's too late. The talent is there. You agree. You've said that, right?
Talent enough to get to 6 wins was there when we started this season.
Right.
The talent was there. Have we played one football game where we played 4 quarters? That's my question to him.
No.
To him, if you've seen us play 4 quarters, and he's going to say, well, that's the coach's fault. No, it's not. I've been around Vanderbilt football for 40 years. We've had good coaches that have gone other places and been successful, not as a head coach necessarily, but as assistant coaches. They know football. That's not it. You've got to have kids who have confidence. It's like if you walk out here to a bat cage and you had never swung a bat and you get in there and you never had success, you're just hitting foul balls. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, you're expected to hit home runs. We don't have the confidence to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't. The kids don't. Now, here's the problem where you're kind of stuck betwixt and between.
Mm-hmm. You
got the veteran kids that are playing for you, and you got very talented young kids. I love the young kids on this team. If you have those kids, you can't just throw the other guys to the wolves and not play them, because then you're going to lose your team. People don't understand that, especially to this day and age where if someone yells at you, you can transfer. I mean, it's a very tight rope situation where you've got to really watch yourself because you can lose your team quick.
Yeah. Joey tweeting here. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to check in or not, but Clark Lee did say that A.J. Swann's injury is still his elbow contusion from last week. He says he never saw him playing with confidence today. They'll monitor Swann's health moving forward, but acknowledge they need more from the quarterback position.
No question.
I mean, you need more. Obviously, A.J. Swann has been the guy, but it'll be interesting to track this week. Swann, number one, Swann's health. Number two, I mean, we don't go to practice, but his Seals getting reps with the ones. I think that'll be it'll be an interesting week.
It will be. I'll go back to that. I think AJ has to be healthy for him to play. AJ has to have everything right now with his development. If he's not 100% with his arm or his feet or whatever it may be, look, we've got Ken Seals. Ken can move this football team, in my opinion. I think not the fact that we scored a late touchdown. I'm not talking because of that. Mm-hmm. But there's enough talent there in that room to where we can put a healthy guy out there.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And Seals, maybe that happens this week, right? You never know.
Yeah.
Clark Lee said that A.J. Swann's health will be the primary factor whether he starts against Missouri. So,
that's good. That's the choice you should make.
We will certainly continue to track that. We got Luciana, Ken Seals fan. He's a dog. Let's go. Let's see. Depth is way better, Luciana says.
Sure it is.
I mean, yeah, you saw – I thought John House, the interception from John House was impressive. I know that acted just sort of as a punt, for Kentucky. But
he was where he's supposed to be.
I thought that receiver was open. If it's an earlier throw from Leary. Here we go. I'll take over that. Here, take this. There you go. a little episode there from Bill. But in terms of that interception by John House, I think if you look at House, he's a guy that's young player, but he got in there and stayed with that play and made an interception. So credit to him. Lowry says about Luke, you got a fan here, Luke. I like Luke and believe he's insightful, but you have to look at the coach's track records, and some of these guys don't have a good track record. We'll ignore that. You good, Luke?
I think. I don't know. You may have it solo here in a minute.
Oh, we're good. If you need to take a break, you can. I was talking about John House, though.
Yeah.
I mean, impressive interception, a kid that is from Nashville and made an impressive play. If you can, Luke, we'll give you some
What are you doing to me here, Bill?
I'll give you some space for last-minute thoughts. I think we're going to end up wrapping it up short.
Okay.
Just about a 30-minute post-game here. Joey, again, to keep track of Joey's tweets, he's doing a good job of making note of Clark Lee's comments after the game, and A.J. Swann's health is going to be a huge factor. Final thoughts here, Luke. We'll close it out. We won't keep us here too long, but final thoughts. Well, you said next week's a must-win.
It's a must-win, and the people that want a new coach, I don't know if they've looked at the history of Vanderbilt, but when you start changing coaches every 2.5 years, it doesn't matter who you gonna bring in. First of all, who's your coach, guy? Who's your coach? If you've got all the answers and you don't understand where a Vanderbilt football program is, I'm sorry. I can't tell you. I can't help you. But again, I think next week's a must-win for this team to have much success moving forward. And if they don't get the W next week, they don't come out and execute and play well. And I'm not talking about even a close game. I think they need to win the football game next week, and I think they can if the turnovers stop and the inconsistent play.
And we've said that all year.
Yeah.
We have said that. We're probably going to keep saying it all year. Sebastian comes in. The young talent is legit. Jeffrey Hugo, London Humphreys, Martell Height, Trudell Berry, Diakite, Demarion Thomas, Issa, just to name several. House, major bounce back. Want to see clean football one time.
That's all I
mean,
ask.
that is name of the game for Vandy. That's why it's so frustrating. And I think there's a lot of fans that they see it, right? You see flashes.
Sure.
But Vanderbilt has not been able to put it together. They haven't played clean football. And until they do, like Clark says, they leave it to chance.
Yeah, they're going to keep losing because the opponents don't get any easier. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, Luke, 30 minutes. Again, tough loss for Vanderbilt. They fall to 2-3 on the season. Kentucky improves to 4-0 after the 45-28 win today. We'll go. Luke is done. We'll close it out next week. Luke's going to go get some water and interesting into the episode. Again, Joey Dwyer, keep it tuned in on his tweets. But so long from the Chili's on West End, everybody.